see, everything happened so damn fast, bro. Like August is when I blew up on TikTok. And like around like October, November is when I met Pearl. So she played a big part in like helping me like get my shit together. Cause I ain't had no ID. I ain't had shit to my name for real. I was just staying in hotels once I started making money. So she like helped me get an apartment. She actually let me stay in her crib.
And she was she living in London at the time, or she was still
No.
She was in Chicago, right?
Yeah, she was in the suburbs of Illinois.
Right.
I think like Huntley or some shit.
How'd you actually start talking to her? And for the record, we are talking about pearly things in case anybody's not sure. Yeah.
She when I blew up on TikTok, I was just scrolling on my For You page and I just seen she had made a video like shooting her shot at me.
Really?
Yeah, she was like, "Oh, this nigga." Well, she ain't said that.
Not publicly.
Like, she like, "Oh, Angry actually look kind of good or whatever." So that's like how we start talking.
Really?
Yeah, I just randomly seen a video.
And was she big yet, or was she still kind of in the beginning stages of her career?
She wasn't necessarily big, but she had a lot of viral moments.
Right. Okay.
Because she would like show off like her parents' mansion and shit like that.
Right. And so you go and link with her and just hit it off?
Yeah, for sure. Like before we even started dating, like 2-3 days after we met, she let me stay at the crib.
Really?
She let me stay at her parents' crib. And her parents like was completely fine with it. I'm like, what the
Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah.
And so what was she on at that time? Because it's like I've kind of seen her go through this crazy transformation where it's like when I started paying attention to her, she's doing like dating content, and now she's doing like 16-year-old girls are hotter than grown women content on Twitter and all this. Like I've just seen her like progressively do like this weird slide into more and more extreme content to get people to pay attention to her.
Brother, listen. At that time, this is what I tell everybody, because everybody always say like, "Oh, she had to be a certain way when y'all was together." But at the time that I was with her, like, as far as what I'm seeing on social media about her, like, it was.
We're going to get into the video in a second. I'm excited about this one, but I just came across Pearl's ex-boyfriend on No Jumper. What? Angry reactions.
Never none of this. It was never no weird shit like this.
How is this not blown up? This was like over a week ago, apparently.
Bro, like she was cool. She like, if I'm being honest, she like the best girlfriend I ever had, bro.
Really?
Like she helped me a lot. She helped me a lot, bro. Like she helped me get in the gym more.
Also, let me know if the audio's bad. Spam it with 2s if it's really bad, because I opened it today and it was not set up the same. So
Or start prioritizing my health. Like she helped me, she gave me a place to stay. She helped me move in. She helped me manage my money. Like even her parents was like helping me and shit. So it's like, as far as who she is today and what the fuck she got going on, I don't know, bro. I think London changed her.
Yeah.
She became a whole different person when she went out there.
I think that the incentives of the internet really changed her, because like that dating conversation thing was like a real thing in like 2020, 2021. And then it kind of turns into more like, oh, people want to talk about red pill shit.
Yeah.
Andrew Tate's blowing up. So she starts going more and more into that. And I don't even know what the fuck she's doing now, honestly, but it just kind of like gotten more and more extreme. But she's felt that pressure to change her content up over and over to like appeal to an audience, when from my perspective, she is not a thought leader. She's not like a brilliant mind. She's just kind of like watching what's going on in the space, and she's able to kind of like provide her version of it.
Yeah, because
sorry, I'm testing it on different things. Am I louder now? And how's the video?
at the end of our relationship, that's when she started making this type of content. And shit was just getting a little weird. Like when we were still together, she told me like, "Oh, I'm about to go to Vegas to go to this like pickup coach thing," and I'm like, "What the fuck is you talking about?" Like, she like, "Oh, it's this pickup coach thing." He teach guys how to pick up women in like bars and shit like that, and I'm just going to make videos about it. And that was the first sign of shit like becoming weird. But like, she a grown ass woman. I let her do whatever she wanted to do as far as content. It was a little weird to me, but you know, she could do whatever.
Right. Because you never could have guessed that it would have ended up as strange as it got.
But I think that's where it started.
Because even I interviewed her in maybe 2022 or something, maybe 2023. But like she, you know, like she was starting to like really dabble in some of them like more weird alt-right / like manosphere talking points, but it wasn't as extreme. And to see where she even got to be like a year or two after that has been very strange. I feel like a lot of people probably want to know though, was the fact that you're from like a lower class background and that you're black, how much of a factor was that compared to the fact that she clearly like comes from a more well-off family and is white? Was that much of a factor?
I don't think so, bro. I don't think so. Or if it was, like, I wasn't able to tell. Like,
Pearl's family is like very, very nice. Like, I'm sure if I went over there now and she's in London and I had no clothes or food or whatever, and I was just like, yeah, I'm sleeping outside for a month, they would let me in. Like, they're very kind people.
Like, genuinely, she would just like really try to help me at certain.
And they don't even know me like that is what I'm trying. I forgot to put that.
Shit, like do certain shit or whatever. Maybe I don't know like what that was for her, what her intentions was with that. But as far as like how I perceive it, like she was just being a good girlfriend to me. Like, and all of this started, she didn't even know my situation before she made that video, like saying she was like, she wanted to with me. So like, I don't know. I don't think so. I think she was just being genuine.
That's dope. Well, good for her then. I feel like, you know, I do have like a somewhat negative opinion of a lot of the moves she's made, but that's dope. At least
No,
you
yeah,
guys
I
had
do
a
too.
solid-
Coming from the guy that let men fuck your wife. Like, the cuck. We need a term for that. Chatty cucks. I don't know.
Relationship, you know?
Yeah, I do too. Like, I don't agree with a lot of shit she say these days, and that's what I be trying to tell people. She was not this person when I was dating her. I don't know why she chose this as the route she wanted to, you know, go down, but I'm just as confused as everybody else. But I get slack because I dated her.
And how much content were you guys really doing together? Like, did you talk about that a lot? Like, how
about now? I think I'm good now.
you guys kind of work together, or how much of that was really going on?
We shot a couple videos together. Like, I actually like gave her like her biggest TikTok like video. I think it was like 40 million views.
Oh my God.
Took it down when we broke up, of course. But yeah, she was just like, she just made a video like, oh, my boyfriend is like so positive. You feel me? And I just put the camera towards me and I said gorgeous. And that shit went crazy. You feel me?
Wow.
Gorgeous.
But yeah, we never really talked about doing content. It just like happened most of the time. Most of the time we ever did content. So
when did things start to go bad?
as far as what, our relationship?
Yeah.
When she went to London. She moved to London.
She said she was moving to London and you didn't plan on going with her? Or?
Hell no.
Okay.
I'm like, you want to go to London? She like, yeah, I want to play basketball, volleyball, do this type of shit. And I'm like, okay, that's what's up. And then like, we try to make it work, bro.
Long distance.
Yeah, that shit terrible.
Yeah, it's rough.
And then she be like, she wanted me to like fly out that tour and shit. And I'm like, I didn't even have my passport at the time.
Right.
So like, she wanted me to fly 8 hours and shit out. I'm like, yeah, this ain't gonna work, bro.
Was there part of you that was like, well, fuck, maybe I'll give it a try. I'll move to London, see if I like it.
Hell no. I ain't never want to move to London. I was thinking about going because she used to make me feel bad. She used to come, you know, she used to come back to the States to see me and shit. So I used to feel bad, like, yeah, I ain't never went out there to her crib or whatever. But yeah, it just never happened. We ended up breaking it off before I could even, you know.
Yeah, like, I love London. It's a great time, but I'll be real, like, moving out there, getting this insane culture shock and having the only relationship that you have, the only connection that you have to anyone being your girl, just sounds like a recipe for disaster. Because you, as somebody who hasn't lived out there and stuff, it's going to take you a while to even get in like a groove of life. And like, it's just going to be so much pressure for the relationship to work. Like, I don't know.
And I don't like long flights, bro.
Right.
I don't like flying in general, but like 8 hours in a Sky Gang, like, come on, bro. Like I'm a nigga from the hood, bro. My family, everybody in my immediate family has never been on a flight. Nobody except me.
Right.
So like, even when I had to start traveling for business, I ain't want to. Niggas was scared. I'm like, bro, what the fuck?
You hate being up there?
I don't mind it. Most of my issue come from like traveling in entirety. You feel me?
Right.
Like baggage claim and shit.
Yeah.
Like I gotta walk 30 minutes to the other side of the fucking airport to get my bags and shit. Like it's just the whole thing. But yeah, being in the sky, I fucking hate that shit.
At this point, I feel very adjusted to flying, but I totally know where you're coming from because all of my early memories of flying, I was just so stressed out by it. Just everything felt like it was going to go wrong. It's just like, yeah, it's a very stressful thing.
Yeah, but once them doors lock on the plane, I'd be like, all right, bro, if it's my time. But it's always this little weird feeling. I feel like with everybody when you travel, it don't matter how many times you done flew before, you never just on there comfortable as hell. Like, yeah, no.
You ever took a Xan?
Hell nah.
That'll do it. That'll get you
Really?
comfortable. Yeah, but don't go down that route. Okay, so that relationship ends. What's your thought process at that time in terms of like talking about it to the public and making content and stuff? How does it become public?
That we broke up?
Yeah.
I ain't really like addressed it publicly for real. Like,
You better
I never
not.
did content with her on my page. I never did content with nobody on my page. It's just all me. So like my audience didn't really know that I was in a relationship for real, but her audience did. So yeah, I never addressed it. I think like the fact that we dated start coming out when people was trying to like dig up shit on her. Like, oh, you talking about fat women? Like you date this fat ass nigga? What you talking about? That's when people start to like recognize me as her ex. It was never really like a thing that we created.
Right, because it's like easy to make you a target when she's always talking about high value men and shit.
I'm like, leave me the fuck out of this, bro. What you mean?
Holy shit. So then like, do you end up feeling like you have to speak out against her in terms of just like making it clear that you're not aligned with some of her wackier ideas?
Yeah, I post a couple videos like explaining the situation. Like, listen, it's not, I ain't got shit to do with that. She was not like this, you know, because everybody was attacking me, bro. They like, she had to have been like this when y'all was together. I don't know what's going on, but it wasn't like this.
And a lot of the narrative, I'm assuming, was like, look at what a like bad black man you are for having been with this person.
Yeah.
Like or you clearly were like
have the same views and shit.
Yeah.
I'm like, bro, hell nah, bro, no. So I felt at a certain time, I felt like I had to address that shit. But after I made a couple videos, I ain't really talk about it for real.
And did she reach out to you about it?
Yeah.
When she wasn't happy that you distanced yourself, or
we was still like, we still had a little communication behind the scenes for real. Cause like I was annoyed with the shit that was happening to me because of her. So like when we was talking, I was like, bro, like look what the fuck is going on. Now if I go and say this about you and say that, I'll be wrong because you got, but like eventually like we just left it at where it was.
Right. She's always talking about how women should basically be virgins when they get married.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to be too crude or anything, but do you take her virginity?
Oh my God, it's giving Justin Timberlake, Britney Spears, circa 2000.
Nah, listen.
Okay.
I ain't take that girl virginity, okay? Somebody way before me did.
Right.
And I ain't even, listen.
That would be so legendary to just be like, I took Pearly things.
Hell nah, it ain't like
crazy
that.
claim to fame. I get a tattoo.
Unfortunately, I know who did though.
Why you met this? Oh my God.
But like, listen, I ain't even.
It was probably a long time ago, right? I mean,
I ain't even trying to say nothing too crazy. But no, I didn't take her virginity. Hell no.
Okay.
It ain't like that. But nah. Cause look.
I see what he's trying to do. I see you, Mr. No Jumper. It must have been a long time ago. It was not that long ago. I can confirm.
Initially, because I hit you up a couple months ago when all of this shit was going on with her, and I was still like a little bit tight about her. But like, I feel like in this point in my life, bro, I done turned the new leaf. I ain't gonna lie. And in reality, That girl ain't did nothing to me.
Right,
Like, she was actually a fantastic girlfriend. We just didn't work. So like, I ain't even trying to say nothing.
No,
to her.
I respect that, because like it would be super easy for you to just like trash her, knowing the internet would eat it up.
yeah,
But I respect you not. If she didn't do bad by you, whatever.
Yeah, she told me some shit in confidence, and like, I ain't trying to come out like that.
She did a gangbang one time. What the fuck is that?
Bro, no, don't take my silence as an answer, bro. I'm just saying. If I was still pissed, but I'm not. She cool. She was cool with me.
I feel like I'm a hawk. Easy. Okay. Not on my radar.
Okay. I found a clip from Back to the Roots. Shout out, y'all. They always make the best clips, in my opinion. And we covered this video, not in its entirety, but the girl in the blue, third from the right, she did a debate with the husband of Rachel over here. I hope you can see my mouse. Rachel banging by Brian. That sounded weird. Banging next to Brian. That still sounded weird. We got Batshit Cray in the red with the black blazer. This is our girl that got flued out. A Christian man was like, I can't do this. He was like really annoyed. We don't know the true story. And then, so Andrew, Rachel's husband, debated this blonde girl. Like I said, she was one of the more quick, intelligent female supremacists that I've seen. I caught half of this, and it sparked a conversation actually in my head, which is why it took me a really long time to get on here, aside from me making a smoothie. Because I'm just thinking, because this is a topic that I've actually wanted to address. There's a lot of topics, to be honest, in the red pill space that I've wanted to address for a while. The issue is that when you deal with like one person's opinion on something, and then you deal with another person who has a radically different opinion, and you're trying to find the common, the thing that's common among them. But to me, that always was like, well, they're humans. It's not gender, but they're humans. But like, men and women are different. We're the same on a lot of shit, but there are very specific things that keep us different. And so when you have these specific opinions, I'll give you an example in a moment, specific opinions that are so strongly motivated, when you try to flip it, like, well, what's the female version? Or, well, not all women are like that. Here we go. Okay, when you have an opinion, your first response is like, well, what about those specific topics? I find that trying to find what it is to make the other side, aka men, because I'm a woman, understand the female life, female experience is difficult. Like, it took me 2 years, give or take, in the red pill space to be like, I think I get it on the male side, but like, I still don't, because I'm not a dude, right? But if I saw two people on a public platform, just random, a woman and a man talking, every single thing that she said, I would know exactly what he is thinking from the red pill lens, if that makes sense. So one of those topics where you're trying to understand the male perspective and the female perspective, when life is fucking subjective and everybody has different opinions, the topic of reproduction comes up, and the topic of also schmishmortion. And I had like a light bulb moment while I was loading the dishes in the dishwasher. It's my first time having a dishwasher lit, by the way. So much fun. But I had a light bulb moment and I was like, that's why this topic is so confusing. And I came to the conclusion, and we will go over it, that how I was explaining, trying to understand like one side's opinion, the reason that this in particular was so complicated is because we're also dealing with the topic of schmishmortion and choice. It'll make more sense when I go on, but that's kind of the gist. We're going to talk about child support, where it came from. I was debating if I should do like a talking front, because I do have a piece. I'm going to put it on my Substack. It's actually finished. I'm just... Get it together, bitch. Do you guys know where child... I can't decide if I want to finish this coffee that's like way too strong or go get my drink. One time. Oh, it's Saturday. I feel so much better. Okay, hold on. Should I get a drink? Wait, are we good? Hold on, I didn't check. Okay. At least... Is audio good? Sorry. One day, y'all. One day. At least you've tried and you admit that you don't get it. Unlike Pearl. No, the thing is I get a lot of it. I'm just disagreeable. So like in moments where you're like, oh, Tori doesn't get it, I probably do. I'm just being a little bitch. I actually enjoy to embrace my 5 female brain, mind, whatever. Which is why I also get called a feminist, good one, often. But then the guys that get it, like a lot of the creators or dudes that have been in the space a while, like I've seen them in different creators live chats, because I'm a mod in like most of them. They see that. But if you come across me right away, you're kind of just like, this woman hates men. I hate everybody. Okay? I've seen you all wasted. You're annoying. But anyways, I used to refrain from the emotionalism, if you will, partly because I had a brain injury and I was like a vegetable. It's not funny. It really isn't. But I healed. Took a while. But then the other part of me was I had done so much research, and I would be in the chats, in the Reddits, and I would constantly, I had like memorized how hate comments, if you will, would look. So I knew if I said certain things like this, I would get dragged like no end. And when I had that brain injury, I was like, I cannot get my point across at all. Nothing like I used to. So I would be cautious. And then once I finished, I don't know, probably around like the ninth or 10th book I've read of theirs, it had to be at least a year and a half in. Then I was like, why would I censor myself? I'm way more entertaining when I'm annoying. And like, my biggest pet peeve was like, oh, you parrot Rolo. Hi, Rolo. I don't. Like, even when I do videos with Rolo, I'm always like, but fuck that. I wanted to create a name for myself that was like true to myself, but also really considerate of the other side. If I was really emotional 6 months in, that just would have been, I don't think it would have given me enough time to really sit with the male experience. Like, why do men care so much about this? Why do men say this about that? Is that true? You have to remember, like being brainwashed and shit, like just through school is like one hurdle. But then you gotta like figure out, well, who's right? Is it the guy that says, no hymen, no diamond? Love you. Or is it the guy that's like, we're just trying to find a bitch who's not annoying? Or is it like, da 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 da? So a lot of I've concluded that you got to see the comments where the guys are married happily and what they say about their wives. That's what I've concluded. Seems to trend, if you will. Like the video if you haven't liked it already for my troubles, since I'm probably already demonetized on this one. Woo! Nobody wants a disagreeable woman. I vehemently disagree. Ask yourself, do men fantasize about marrying fucking the bartender? Or do they fantasize about marrying the girl that clings to them right away where you're not even really that into her? And if you're like, I've never wanted to fuck the bartender, or, well, that's just pumping and dumping. Listen, y'all get married just to get constant sex. So don't even come to me with that. Don't even come with me to that. Fake. Men all say, like, we want a woman that gives us peace. Well, I have news for you. No woman is going to bring your ass peace. Enjoy your boring sex, okay? I don't even think women could be boring if we wanted to. You know what I mean? Like, we're just always, because our hormones change every day as opposed to like weekly. Oh, love it. Okay. Let's get started. Woo.
You wanted to talk about...
Wait a minute. Where is the comedian girl? Is she not here?
If guys want girls to be virtuous, then they need to hold themselves to the same standard, and this...
I feel like it was on the episode with the comedian.
Includes who?
Porn use, but
Oh.
I'm more focused on the beginning part. So if guys want girls to be virtuous, then they need to hold themselves to the same standard.
Yeah.
Okay.
You want me to elaborate?
Elaborate briefly if you can.
Elaborate.
Hold
I
on.
believe this because of I'm Catholic. They just shut down, like they don't want to listen to me.
Sure.
But when I say I am a feminist too, and I believe that this isn't...
Okay, so it is this episode. She just wasn't over there. Okay. It's your job to... I love these fucking thumbnails, yo. If you want same rights, register for the draft. Stop it. Look at Rachel. You don't help men by being naked online. You need to stop spreading your legs. So this is the one I thought it was. But I do not see the comedian bitch. Maybe she comes in halfway. Let's go back. These are so funny.
Elaborate briefly.
Yeah.
Hold on, let me see.
To me for short-term sex.
You girls are banging
Moon
Chad.
Tuna
That's who you're
donated
going for.
That's a weird thing to
$69.
say.
It's weird
It's
how
not
it
weird,
all
it's
comes
true.
back down to having mutual respect for each other and everything else falls in place.
Well, hold on.
Ability on men to not
Yeah.
Table and tell us about how they did 20 dudes and like. But
Okay. And some girls said once. That means they find only 5% of the men attractive.
I feel like this is not it. Hold on. Is it this one? This looks like it is.
Solving the problem.
Really,
I
why?
try to support these men, and I actually have relationships with all of these men that are in my DMs.
So you are cheating on your man
that is
emotionally.
The comedian girl, this isn't the exact clip. I'm going to find it. The comedian girl with the mesh is exactly who Myron should hire to be his host. Calling it. Calling it. Okay, it's not that. No. There's no way. Hold on. Unless they took it down. Wilson calls out.
that the welfare.
This is it. Okay. Love it. Sorry, guys. Come on.
One last note here for you,
Sure.
Leonarda. You had a disagreement. You said that with the show, I think the way you handle women is neglecting your duties as men.
Correct.
To lead and protect women even when they stray. Do you care to elaborate on that?
Yeah, I mean, you're not doing it today, so I can't
Oh,
really.
it's just other days?
I can't go off of this today. Just a few things that I've seen. I think that you have a tendency to kind of shame some of these women.
Can you give me an example?
No, because I don't have anything. I'm just speaking out of my ass right now.
Fucking ass.
Just
I love
based on
her.
Some clips that I've seen, right?
Okay,
and I've
sure.
seen with you and some of these red pill guys. They'll bring on these girls with
Am
the
I red pill?
OnlyFans. I don't think so.
Okay.
Yeah. But I don't like that. I think there's a lot of this happening on social media where we're trying to. I get it. We have to make money. It's interesting. It's exciting to do this. But I think that this happens a lot. I see it online where men will shame women, and I guess if they're going to be like resistant or whatever. But I don't think that that's the way, because
This girl is brilliant, by the way, because she made me think, oh shit. Okay, so really want you to follow what she's going to say. This is literally the best panel of age groups. I was like really impressed with
she was
it.
asking like, how do we stop this? And I don't think that is the way, because it just confirms their already existing bias that men want to abuse them.
Did you guys get that? I know I was like talking. I'm going to move it back. She's saying, so what is the purpose, or how can your purpose is trying to stop them from acting promiscuous, right? But how does that help you, men specifically, Brian specifically, if you just have a show where you shame women, how is that going to help women? All that does is confirm their bias that men are abusive, that men are not good, that men, or that bear better. The bear better. I'll replay it.
Already existing bias that men want to abuse them, right? And so with a lot of this stuff, a lot of it I think, should really be discussed in a different way, where you kind of like show them, hey, this is actually not to your benefit, this isn't good for you, and actually try to bring them out of that mentality. You're not going to always win, but I don't think that the kind of like exposés that happen are the best way to do it. That's my opinion.
Well, I would need a specific example of.
I know. I wish I'd done my work. But
I think I
agree.
I think I know what you guys are saying, and I have friends, female friends, who feel this way because my husband's on the show frequently, and some of the stuff I say will kind of trigger them. And I think everyone's instinct is to protect women, and like what you said in the pre-show notes was, even when they've gone astray, we should still protect them.
I didn't quite say we should protect them. I just don't necessarily know that kind of, stripping them naked and issuing lashes is the way to do it, metaphorically.
This is my opinion on it, which
It might
is
work.
my opinion on
try
it
it out,
is
maybe.
that right now we don't have a problem of too much woman shaming in general. Now you could look at
Have
some
you
red
seen
pill-
my Twitter feed?
You go in?
I go in on
You
everyone.
go in.
But I think that we should. I think that in general we should. So like how I ended up into previous bad relationships that, well, I can't even say they were bad, because like my first 2 children I had with my high school boyfriend I was with almost 6 years. I knew him my whole life. Great guy. He went through some personal shit. There was no cheating. There was no blowouts. There was no like toxicity. He just went through some really intense personal stuff, left. Okay. I'm alone with 2 kids. I'm devastated. I couldn't predict how I ended up here. I never thought that would be me. I intended to be with one guy and stay with one guy forever. It didn't work out. Put me in a vulnerable position where guy number 2 comes along. I meet him. He sounds great. He sounds perfect. Too perfect, in fact. Marry him, have a baby with him like I'm supposed to as his wife, and he turns out to actually have some very serious issues I didn't know about, that he didn't tell me about. So I understand what you're saying, where like women can be vulnerable and there can be bad guys. That's true. However, when that one left and I'm alone now with 3 kids and 2 ex-husbands, and I knew everyone forever for the rest of my life is just gonna say, oh, she has 3 kids with 2 guys, and they're gonna assume
You're a high value.
never ever did. And I'm sitting there at 26 trying to figure out what the fuck do I do now, right? And what I had to do, I could blame the guys. I could look at them and all the things they did wrong to me. But instead I went, wait a minute. I'm the common denominator here. There's something about me. Either I'm attracting this type of guy or I'm attracting certain behavior. Something. I'm the common denominator because they were total opposites. So I had to take a hard look at myself, and this is the only way I will say that I think I could be an example to women out there. In every other way, I'm not your life coach, I'm not your mom, I'm not the lady with all the wisdom. But in this one way, I think I can be an example, which is that I took a super hard look at myself at 26, which is hard to do. We don't like to do that as women. Be introspective and look at where all our flaws are and where our weaknesses are. And I went, okay, I see a pattern of what I'm doing. I see that I sometimes have a bad attitude. I see that the default feminism was in me too. I didn't think I was a feminist, and I didn't think I was doing anything particularly immoral or wrong or bad, but I did have like the modern woman attitude to an extent. And that led me to pick people based on wrong factors. You have to look at like, you know, your childhood stuff and all that. But all I'm trying to say is, I think that we have an issue where we tell women that they are perfect, they can do no wrong, you're a goddess, you're a queen, you slay queen, you're amazing. Every man should want you at your best and put up with you at your worst and all this kind of stuff. We don't say that to men. Women are the ones being told we're already perfect, we don't need to change.
Where do you, so I had a totally different upbringing, totally different than that. And my experience with a lot of women is they are incredibly self-critical, probably not in the right ways,
Right.
you know. But I agree with you. I think this is true for men and women, is that you can't really do anything to change the person that you were with. The only thing you can do is change yourself.
Right.
So if something's not going right, whether it was one time or multiple times, I think the answer is always to look inside yourself and see what you can do to fix that.
Right.
But is this a common thing that because I don't know, I have a totally different upbringing where you guys are brought up and told you're wonderful, special, and all that stuff. Is that true?
Well, they'll say no.
It's true. I had a light bulb moment when Rachel had said that. And actually, I can understand why she gets shit, and I'll explain literally that later. But if you just saw her fucking Twitter, you'd be like, the girls would be so turned off. I think it's hilarious. I love when people are fucking savage on Twitter. I'm still new to it. I didn't realize you could have such a vulgar, like, out there. Twitter has been the death of everybody, I think. That's what I've gathered. I've only been on it 2 years. But then I was thinking to myself when she said that, I was like, those are teachable moments. When she said, like you'll sometimes hear people say, like, oh, I'm the common denominator. Why do I keep picking wrong? But when she said, I dated total opposites, that like clicked. I was like, you gotta tell Morehouse that. You gotta tell Morehouse. Because I'm over here, like, I'll give you a personal example. I'm over here, like, I hear men that are like, you picked wrong. And I'm like, I dated different men. And I'm a very critical person of myself. But even I had a blind, I was like, oh shit, what she said. They were opposites, but like, I'm the common denominator. I was like, I wish that was taught to me, because that's not taught to you. And when the girls were shaking their heads like they were not brought up like that, listen. How did you get over a breakup? If you guys want to know where a lot of the feminist, like the what do you call it? I use the one all the time. What is it? If you wanted to, he will. That sounds good to me. Like, it still does. I can't help it. Or there's another one. There's another one that you guys hate. What is it? I don't need a man. I want a man. And if men hear this, they're like, what the fuck? I want to be needed. even I've actually said that mantra to some red pill guys, and they're like, yeah, that's good to me. So you already know that there's some brainwashing on the men, if you want to call it that. But it's like, to me, you don't need a man, you want a man. To me, that means I don't need your utility, that you're more than just your motherfucking job. Fight Club. You're more than your job, you're more than your khakis. But to me, it's like, if I don't need a man, I want a man. Meaning, like, I have all this stuff, but I still choose you. Like, to me, that still sounds good, but that is a very moving feminist mantra, if you will. I can't decide if it's feminist or it's stereotypical. I'm leaning towards stereotypical, but for this video, I'll say that. And by stereotypical, what I mean is, I think that there's still harmful stereotypes from back in the 50s for men. And because the job thing gets me. I want a house husband. He's not allowed to work. You know what I mean? Like, but anyways, I like this Rachel. I want this Rachel to be like plastered. The issue with plastered on YouTube, the issue with this type of content is that the title that would describe a video about that the best is not going to be clickable. But it's not that it's not entertaining, but the art of finding the right title, like Pearl's team's really good at this. Finding the right title for something like that also interests men, that is also red pill adjacent. Sorry, Roland, he hates when I use that word. But you know what I mean? And by red pill adjacent, what I mean is the opposite of find your 5 love languages. Like, I hate that shit. Anyways, like, 2 brilliant women that are, you know, they're not fucking post-wall, like, on their deathbed, y'all. That they're, like, at that age where they're relatable. And I don't know. Like, I grew up with older sisters, so all the shit that modern women today probably will regret post-wall, I had the privilege of not partaking in because of my sisters. Love them. Love them.
No, but generally, like, when I watch the show and you ask women what went wrong with the previous relationships, they usually will say, oh, he was this and he was that and he did this wrong and he did that. He wasn't emotionally supportive. He wasn't this. It's like they'll go through 15 guys and every single time it was the guy and it was never them. And I'm just like, and I think this is a symptom of us telling women, you're amazing, you're special, you're perfect the way you are. Wrong. You don't need to change anything. You're a goddess. And I'm just
But who is saying this? Well, that's my thing. It's always, we're telling women this, they're saying
culture.
this, they're doing
right. I would say that on the
Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
You look like a Taylor Swift.
I'm wearing,
Are you a Swiftie?
No.
Are you a Swiftie?
I'm wearing
I'm a
a Swiftie shirt
Swiftie.
right now.
Oh,
I do not listen
Wait,
to
but-
Swift.
So she can write multiple albums about all her breakups, and she's had like what 27 ex-boyfriends or something.
A lot of boyfriends.
But and she wrote a funny tongue-in-cheek song called "I'm the Problem, It's Me" because everybody was telling her, "Hey Taylor, perhaps you could be the issue here if every single guy you've ever dated is a total piece of shit." And you'll hear women do this, right? And this is why I won't do it, even though the trolls are constantly like, "What about your exes? What about your?" I'm not going to give their business because they're private people. I'm a public person. They're not, and I have the respect for them to not tell all their business.
Here's an example. If a man cheats, he fucked up. If a woman cheats, the man fucked up.
Wait, where do you?
The woman cheated.
Hold on.
He wasn't meeting my need.
Where do you
blah,
get
blah,
that
blah, blah.
from?
This is like a common thing.
Because that's not what I see.
Women will constantly argue that when women cheat, the man wasn't meeting some sort of expectation. But when the man cheats, he's a dog. He's a piece of shit.
I've seen something. I've seen something totally
one
different.
Is the best one, where if a man doesn't want you to keep the baby, he's an asshole. He has no right to make that decision. And if a woman wants to keep it, it's her body. Go her.
But
That's a good point.
None of you are giving examples of where, except you gave Taylor Swift, which I'm not sure I totally agree with that.
Oh, every pop star, every singer,
all you
every
guys are
actress.
saying is they're saying this, they're saying that. The culture is saying.
Never go on a date unless he takes you on a minimum $500 dinner date. If a man is not willing to call you an Uber, don't go out with him. But in the same breath, I could go on about this shit. In the same breath, he tried to get you an Uber from your house. What is he, like a murderer? Like, I didn't want to go out with him again. It's okay, sis. That's fucking creepy. I would never go out with a guy that did that. But then you see other women, I'm like, it's crazy. But what are other moments of double standards? Chat. How about if a woman has a gun, it's sexy. Hell yeah. She knows how to defend herself. More women should have guns. But if a man has a gun, he's unhinged, a school shooter, and crazy. Abusive, if you will. Why is it during sex, if a guy doesn't perform, well, he just sucked in bed. He has a small dick. You can't even make a girl come. But if a woman doesn't know how to perform, like myself, that's a good thing. That's confidence, baby. Whatever it is. Like, it's okay for me to not do anything in the bedroom. It's okay for me to be a dead fish. What other ones are there? Oh, there's so many. There's so many. I've had a list of them. Let's see what you guys said in the chat. Why do you think it's your looks? Oh, you guys are having a conversation. Should I do? No, oh, wait, we're not there yet. Okay. No money? He'll pay. No friends? He doesn't even ask. Boring? It's accepted of me. Men want us to be boring. Not in the mood for sex? It's expected for us, but for a man, he must be gay if he doesn't want. Raped and needs help? Tons of support for women, cheering him on. Me too. With a man, everyone thinks you're lying because it's impossible for you to be raped. Rejects a member of the opposite sex for women. He just didn't meet my requirements. But for men, he must be gay. Don't want an expensive wedding? She knows how to handle her finances. Him, you're fucked. Wants to feel as much pleasure as possible during sex. Hey, they want us to have multiple orgasms, but for the man, ew. What's wrong with him? He's kind of creepy. I don't know. You're into weird shit like anime. For a girl, that's like quirky. For a man, he's probably jacking off to children corn. It's fucked up. Easy, Tori. Okay. I'm not saying it's true. It's just the stigma. Enjoys masturbation. Wow, that's so fucking sexy on a woman. For a man, ew, you probably are an incel. Crying and being an emotional. Everyone runs to comfort us. To men, if men do that, they're going to jail. They're going to jail. They probably did something. Have a particular sexual fetish. If I said I had a foot fetish, people would be like, yeah, fuck yeah. But men, ew. I don't like that. I don't like that at all. No college plans? Hey, that's hotter for girls. You're fucked if you're a dude. Okay. I think that's enough. If a woman assaults a man, then the man goes to jail. That's one. Yeah, that's one of them.
Saying this.
Okay, how about the narrative?
I'm gonna go get my drinky drink. 2 seconds.
Abortions where
The narrative. What is the narrative? I mean, you guys.
Well, I'm about to explain it to you.
Okay.
Okay. So.
Oh shit.
Basically, the narrative with abortion on the left side. You do need a cat noise. The narrative with abortion on the left side is that if you are a woman, it is 100% your decision whether or not that baby lives. And if you want it to live, fine. But if you don't, it doesn't matter the man you're with. It doesn't matter what he thinks.
No, you
and
risk no opinion.
If you give him an opinion, then you're brainwashed. And the child is not a child. Like, it's not a fetus. It's not living. You can decide what it doesn't. Science doesn't matter. Like, we all of a sudden want to get really scientific when we talk about abortion because we're like, oh, it's not. It's like a fetus. It's not the same thing. But then, I mean, there are other left arguments that science doesn't matter. But that is the narrative. And so if
Okay, but you're still saying what the narrative is, not who specifically is pushing these narratives.
Here, let me hop on the abortion thing here a little bit. Okay, let me ask you a question, right? Are you pro-choice?
I am.
Okay.
Shocker.
So what happens, let's say, you go to UCSB, people hooking up, people aren't always using protection. Let's say a guy knocks up his 20-year-old girlfriend and she wants to keep it. What do you say to the man who says, I'm not financially ready to be a father. I am not prepared to be a parent.
Sorry, I thought I heard somebody screaming. Before we get into the baby arguments, you should move over to a little bit of the history of child support since nobody ever really talks about it. Do you guys know how child support started? I froze this a little too long. Malibu, yum. Okay. I'm going to read it verbatim, sorry. In recent decades, there has been a notable shift in marital trends within the United States and other industrialized nations. The traditional concept of lifelong marriage is declining, with increasing rates of divorce among white couples and a rising number of never married individuals among the Black population. Consequently, there have been a significant rise in single-parent households, particularly those headed by women. By 1983, the number of such families in the U.S. had reached 7.2 million, and by 1984, 1 in 5 children, including over half of Black children, got a pineapple thing in my throat. Am I allergic? I'm sorry. 1 in 5 children, including over half of Black children, were living in households without a father present. Many of these single-parent families face significant economic challenges, with approximately half of them living in poverty. This economic hardship stems from various factors, including inadequate financial support from absent parents, the relatively low earning potential of single mothers, and the level of welfare benefits available. Swear to God, this mic is going in and out again. Let me know if it's annoying. Despite a near tripling of benefits between 1955 and 1975, there was a decline of over 1/4 in benefits between 1975 and 1985. Like when it does that. Okay, don't touch it. I won't touch it and it'll still do shit. The increase in welfare dependency has raised concerns about the breakdown of families. This is important. Aid to Families with Dependent Children, AFDC, established as part of the Social Security Act of 1935, was initially designed to support fatherless children whose fathers had passed away. It was anticipated that the enactment of survivors' insurance in 1939 would provide assistance to children whose fathers had a work history. In the meantime, AFDC was intended to bridge the gap until all families could be covered by insurance. Since the 1930s, there has been a significant shift in the composition of welfare recipients. Currently, nearly 90% of welfare cases involve absent fathers, whether due to divorce, separation, or never having been married to the mothers of their children. Historically, the state has had a tradition of providing support to fatherless children, particularly those who became fatherless as a result of war. In 18th century England and America, government aid was typically more generous to widows and their children compared to other needy individuals. However, it was expected that destitute mothers would make efforts to support themselves, and impoverished children were often expected to contribute through work. Nevertheless, the notion of the state supporting children abandoned by able-bodied fathers has been met with skepticism. While such children have been eligible for AFDC assistance from the program's inception, the question of whether they should receive support has been a topic of debate and controversy. The shifting landscape of women's employment patterns further complicates the question of whether the government should support children whose mothers do not work and whose fathers fail to take responsibility for them. With an increasing number of middle and upper income mothers joining the workforce, even those with young children, the traditional model of one parent staying in the home has evolved. This begs the question, is it reasonable for the government to provide assistance to families where neither parent is employed? Despite the debate, the need for support remains significant, and the modest allowances provided by AFDC in most states offer some relief, but still minimal. However, concerns persist regarding the potential negative effects of welfare assistance. Some argue that the welfare programs may inadvertently contribute to the breakdown of marriages, hinder marriage, and incentivize young mothers to live separately from their extended families. Additionally, while most research suggests otherwise, some studies suggest Some studies suggest that welfare may encourage young girls to keep their babies, thus increasing the number of unmarried mothers. It's important to note that while the consensus generally favors two-parent households, there are exceptions. Instances of parental abuse, which are more common among step-parents than biological parents, highlights the complexity of family dynamics. Moreover, questions arise about whether children would fare better in foster care or through adoption if their mothers opt not to raise them. For poor Black children in particular, the likelihood of being adopted outside their family is minimal. While acknowledging the imperfections in our world, it becomes apparent that some increases in single parenthood facilitated by social welfare benefits may actually improve the well-being of children in certain circumstances. Welfare programs, I'm doing better. Welfare programs have been criticized for perpetuating long-term dependency and intergenerational reliance. However, it's important to note that the majority of individuals who receive welfare benefits do so for relatively short periods, and most children from families heavily reliant on welfare do not become dependent themselves. Despite research findings, public perception of welfare remains negative, often described as demoralizing, costly, inadequate yet necessary, hence earning the label the welfare mess. In response, the government has begun emphasizing traditional means of child support, aiming for contributions from both parents. Private child support systems, historically handled by courts, are undergoing transformation. Instead of individualized determinations, there is a shift towards standardized taxation and social insurance mechanisms. This approach views government benefits not as substitutes for parental earnings, but as supplements. I'm just checking to make sure audio's good. Okay. Are you guys even listening? Oh, okay. That's fine. I'm practicing. However, the current private child support system faces challenges. Individualized determinations, once effective in small-scale cases, struggle in larger impersonal systems. Moreover, disparities exist in award rates based on marital status, with divorced mothers more likely to receive support compared to separated or never married mothers. The system's expense, delays, and inequalities have drawn criticism. Awards vary widely and may not reflect changes in non-custodial parents' income or the cost of living. Enforcement of support payments poses further difficulties, with many custodial parents facing obstacles in obtaining full payments owed to them. Congressional interest in absent fathers grew with the rise in family dependency on welfare. Federal legislation in 1975 established the Child Support Enforcement Program, aiming to enforce private child support obligations. By 1985, collections reached $2.7 billion, indicating a significant increase, particularly for the families receiving AFDC benefits. Despite fluctuations in real award levels and payment rates, improvements have been made with federal legislation addressing major shortcomings in the private child support system. Why do I read so funny? Is this still my brain? A-E-I-O-U. States are now required to adopt expedited procedures for obtaining support orders, aiming to streamline the process and improve enforcement. To bolster support for never married mothers, states are extending the period for initiating paternity actions up to the child's 18th birthday. Additionally, child support guidelines are being mandated to ensure equitable and adequate support payments, although these guidelines are not binding on the judiciary. I can never say that word, I'm sorry. The 1984 amendments are also focused on improving collections, offering fiscal incentives for states to monitor payments and mandating automatic income withholding for child support after 1 month's delinquency. Public support is a significant aspect of the child support system, with public transfers far exceeding private ones. While private child support payments in 1985 totaled slightly over $7 billion, AFDC expenditures for families eligible for child support were at least $8 billion, including costs for food stamps, housing assistance, and Medicaid. Public transfers amounted to nearly $24 billion, significantly surpassing private transfers. The dissatisfaction, I can't say it, with AFDC has led to various attempts to reduce welfare dependency. Initiatives like the Work Incentive Program, WIN, aim to encourage employment among AFDC recipients, but had limited success. The Reagan, like the video. The Reagan administration's efforts in the early 1980s focused on cutting benefits for those with substantial earnings and promoting work requirements, yet these measures did not substantially impact work or caseloads. Despite attempts to incentivize work, AFDC structures often discouraged employment. Welfare recipients face benefit reductions after 4 months on the job, leading many to remain dependent on welfare. Even if fully employed, a significant portion of welfare mothers could not earn enough to cover their living expenses, highlighting the necessity of transfers to sustain these families. To alleviate poverty without fostering total dependency, there is a need to supplement rather than replace earnings, either through improved private child support collections or public transfers. Alternative methods have been proposed to share AFDC savings from increased collections, such as disregarding the first $50 per month of private child support when calculating AFDC benefits, or implementing a child support assurance system, CSAS, in states like Wisconsin and New York. Almost done. The CSAS in Wisconsin, for instance, obligates all non-custodial parents to share their income with their children based on specified sharing rates determined by the number of children owed support. Child support is collected through payroll withholding, akin to a proportional tax on non-custodial parents. Children receive benefits either equal to the child support paid by the non-custodial parent or a socially assured minimum benefit, with any shortfall covered by the state. The system also compensates low-income custodial parents for work expenses, further incentivizing employment. The Wisconsin plan offers several advantages over traditional. I don't want to go into all of that. Low-key, because there's a word I really can't pronounce, but I want to use. I forget which paragraph. Additionally, if the non-custodial parent's earnings decrease due to factors like unemployment or illness, their child support obligations also decrease. Implementing automatic withholding rather than waiting for delinquency boosts both the size and timelines of child support payments. Oops. I think I forgot. Or did I read that? I feel like I missed a part. No, we did that. Sorry, I hear my mother. It's distracting me. We did that despite attempts to incentivize work to alleviate poverty. Yeah. For instance, implementing automatic. I'm sorry. Here we go. The Wisconsin plan offers several advantages over traditional court proceedings. A fixed sharing rate ensures automatic indexing of child support awards, leading to increased payments as the income of non-custodial parent rises. This indexing helps address low child support payments resulting from insufficient adjustment for increased earnings. Additionally, if the non-custodial parent's earnings decrease due to factors like unemployment or illness, their child support obligations also decrease. Implementing automatic withholding rather than waiting for delinquency boosts both the size and timeliness of child support payments. This approach prevents non-custodial parents from defaulting after spending the money elsewhere and avoids turning them into lawbreakers. Moreover, uniform automatic withholding eliminates stigma and punishment from the collection process, enhancing children's economic security. The assured benefit in Wisconsin provides support for children when the non-custodial parent lacks resources to meet the required payment amount due to low earnings, unemployment, illness, or other circumstances. Paired with the work expense offset, the benefit ensures that a mother with some earnings does not need to resort to welfare if she receives minimal or no assistance from the non-custodial father. And then I have an article, but I'm going to let it keep playing. We don't have to read the article until the next point. So that's a little gist.
What do you say to him?
Me personally,
What
I
would you say to
I
him?
would say I agree with you. You should encourage her to get rid of it.
Oh, see,
Okay, well, hold on. But
Let me go back just 10 seconds.
to be a parent financially wants to keep it. What do you say to the man who says, I'm not financially ready to be a father. I am not prepared to be a parent. What do you say to him?
Me personally,
What would you say to
I
him?
would say I agree with you. You should encourage her to get rid of it.
Okay, just to clarify, they're still talking about how women are treated differently on certain things. Now we're in schmishmortion, whatever. So Brian is asking her, how would you respond to this scenario, saying, let's say that she gets pregnant and her boyfriend does not have the finances and says, I'm not financially ready to have this baby. What would your response be? If you guys didn't watch the episode a couple weeks earlier where he is talking about schmishmortion, essentially they were talking about how this was the episode with Daisy, how it is considered coercion if a man says to his girlfriend, I'm not ready to have this baby. And a lot of people got really upset about that. So she's about to disagree with what he's doing, but just, yeah.
oh, see,
Okay, well, hold on. But
And then, by the way, she just said, I would encourage her to get rid of it. She's pro-choice. So right now, the dilemma is that most of the time when a guy doesn't want to keep the baby, oh, well, dude, because at the end of it, she has the last say. I personally don't like this framework. I don't believe in schmishmortion. But this is where it is. You will see a lot of, I'm going to say men have cognitive dissonance about it because that's what I see. But if you ask me, do women get a lot of schmishmortions? Like, yeah, I'm sure they use it as a form of birth control. But let me give the male example because we're going to be talking about child support. And this debate topic is it's so complicated. Okay. If you're in red pill space, particularly, you will almost always hear that all men want children. Is this technically true? Maybe on some fundamental level, like biological level. Probably not, because dudes get vasectomies, but not at large. So most men want to keep the baby. I've heard that men find it insulting when a woman gets a schmishmortion because it's pretty much telling him he is not worthy to reproduce. Other things that I've heard are men should have a right to not allowing her to get a schmishmortion if he wants to keep it. I've heard that often. I've heard a lot of men say like horrible things about female reproductive health care. On the flip side, though, in the same space, men will say, you are so selfish for not caring about the birth rates. Women, you don't care that you're not going to have kids? How the flying fuck? But Torrie, you can have both of those beliefs. Not really. You cannot shame a woman you cannot shame. You can do whatever the fuck you want. If you are going to say that schmishmortion is wrong, you cannot also say that well, you can, but it's like, you cannot also fearmonger women into increasing those birth rates. Because if you fearmonger to increase those birth rates, women would just have to fuck whoever. I landed that, but we're gonna keep going.
Let's say she's steadfast, good word, steadfast, and she wants to keep. She's not going to get the abortion. She wants to keep it. What do you tell to the man? What do you say to the man?
I
Tough?
mean, I know this is the answer you're looking for. I would say, well, you can't force her.
Well, but
Because I mean, you can't really
would
force.
tell him,
You can't violate
wouldn't
someone
you say
else's bodily
something?
autonomy.
Wouldn't you say something along the lines of,
Step up to the
you shoulda kept your legs closed. You shouldn't have had sex
Right.
with her if you didn't want to do that. Correct?
You should have thought about it
You
before
should
you
have thought
came in
about-
her raw.
You might be asking the wrong
Okay,
person.
so when the whole Daisy thing went on, the Daisy episode, hopefully most of you had watched it to follow. It's not that tricky, but essentially you have Walter's 2 exes who he pumped and dumped. I think he got both of them pregnant, and if he didn't get both of them pregnant, he ghosted another one, something like that. And if you've watched videos of Daisy, she has gone on platform and platform saying, he refuses to take responsibility. He knocked me up and then did a bait and switch, meaning he there's bait and switch on both sides. Yeah, it's like he pretty much gamed her. He put on one persona. He was the Tinder swindler, but actually broke type shit. Not Walter, but like Tinder, whatever. So a lot of men do this. They will become the guy that women want to fuck in order to sleep with them. You all know somebody that does it. You lie a little bit to bang, and then you realize you get post-nut clarity and you don't want to deal with it anymore, right? A lot of men do this. You have seen her go on platforms, and every single dude in the red pill space will say something like, you should have kept your legs closed. Take responsibility. Take accountability for the fact that you picked him. You picked him, bitch. You should have picked better. What else do they say? You didn't know because watching his shows that he would pump and dump you? Did you really think he wanted to marry you and have your kids? You're dumb. Stop taking, or you must take the L. Something like that. Whatever. Critics of the red pill will say something like the whole Walter situation, like, is that really what being a high value man is, Walter? Like, he is just scum. He is, he doesn't know what it means to be a real man, whatever. But then you also hear, like, yeah, he fucked up. He's stupid. He should have worn a condom. That was probably like the repeated thing I saw. He should have worn a condom with an escort hooker, an Asian hooker, whatever. Right? We hear that all the time. And so right now, Brian is saying that most of the time when we talk about schmishmortion, pregnancy, getting knocked up, women particularly, she let him white toes, y'all. Like she allowed him to come inside of her. And the feminist response would be something like Daisy, like, well, you fucked her. You decided to do that. You should have wrapped it. You shouldn't have took 3 seconds of pleasure over your likelihood. You knew that you could have been on the hook for pregnancy, right? Those are kind of the positions. I said the red pill, right? Most of the comments that I see men say, women never take accountability for the men they fuck. They choose horribly. They should have picked better, whatever. Always absolving men of their shitty behavior. Kidding. Okay, now it's about to get even more convoluted, but it's important that you understand kind of like the multiple birth rate thing that you see guys talking about, but then you also put blame on the women, for lack of a better thing. We never really talk about, well, he should have wrecked it. And if they do talk about it, it's like, that's the worst part of it. It's really more of the emphasis on her. And guys say this because, according to them, at large, in the RP space, maybe it's blue pill too, I don't know, women give access for sex. And this is important, okay? A lot of people will say men are the gatekeepers of relationships. Not true. And that women are the gatekeepers of sex. I think women are the gatekeepers of both. But I want you to imagine a gate. And I want you to imagine I'm behind the gate or somehow. And you come up to the gate and you press the speaker and you say, I want to fuck. Nay, nay. I'm not fucking you. What's the secret? What do they call it? What's the password to get in? Put it in the chat. Put it in the chat, y'all. Some would be like, offer her hundreds of thousands of dollars. She's a hoe. Some would say, talk about Dalmatians. Bitch has too. Some would say, appeal to her emotional side and make her triggered, whatever. That's better than nothing, right? Tell her what she wants to hear. Better yet, tell her that you want a family. Tell her that you want this and that. Whatever it is. I honestly don't know what there's probably a multitude of things that would make most women say, you can come in. Right? In this day and age, well, actually, back in the day, prior to the advent of birth control, in order to get through that gate, we had to get married first. She looks good. I want to marry that one. I don't know how they used to talk. Jolly Willikers. Chilly. I don't know. That was not it. That wasn't it. I love a man that shuts the fuck up. I love a woman that shuts the fuck up. That's not it either. Like the video. Okay. So in order for a man to get through that gate, prior to the advent of birth control, prior to the before 1945, you had to marry my ass. Okay. Let's assume that birth control never existed. That scenario would still apply today. The gate. But prior to the advent of birth control, you had to marry me, put the ring on my finger, we get eloped, still with the gate there. Then on our wedding night, we're fucking. A lot. And guess what happens? Boom, I'm pregnant. Okay? Now, for the extremely slutty, the Margaret Sangers that would hang out at the bar, small of them, but they were there, things would happen where she would open the gate, but they were engaged. Shotgun wedding? No, I'm just kidding. You probably had to fuck before that, but like at the majority. Okay, you put the ring on me, the gate opens, we fucked. Now I'm knocked up because I'm young and fertile. It's my peak. And so then we have a baby. But guess what? Johnny goes out with the boys on Saturday, going to see about them apples or some shit. That's how they talk. And one thing leads to another. They slip and fall, and suddenly they're in the town bicycle's pussy. Hi, Dad. They're in the town hall. Actually, Stacy No. Elise's pussy. And you're probably wondering, what is she an escort? No. Her husband died in the war. She's drinking. She has an alcohol problem. Well, guess what? They didn't have birth control either. He gets a call one day from her who says, I just gave birth to your son. You're telling me I have another? Yeah, you do. Okay. Let's assume she gets a hold of him before that just to tell him she's pregnant. She probably couldn't. Probably couldn't. I don't know. Let's assume she did. Oh, wait. She wouldn't, because guess what? You get pregnant. You don't have a decision to abort it unless you decide to stick a coat hanger. You know the drill. It happened, but it wasn't like a medical procedure. It wasn't safe, and women were dying from it. So you would probably find out that your mistress got knocked up once the baby arrives, okay? However, when we transfer to today, what happens? Oh, wait, I forgot to say her job. Go get back in the time machine, okay? She tells him she has a baby. What do? I'm sorry, I'm with Marianne. Click. That happened at large. It actually is a lot more common than people talk about. The reason that child support came about was because men were dying at war and women couldn't work. Do you guys know what happened to women who were not married most of them got married. If the man died and she became a widower, she got money from the state later in the century. It was like not a thing. It happened because men were dying. So when men, but what also happened were that if a man wanted to break up with a woman prior to women being the ones to initiate divorce a lot, two things that I've read about would happen. There's probably many more. You moved back in with your parents, but you were still legally married. You just separated. I'm talking during the time where you write letters. So keeping a man around back then, you had to be married. Married in the same household. If you never got married, you'll never get child support. There was no way to enforce it. And most men didn't step up to the plate. Are we blaming men? But I'm putting it this way so you guys can see my point later. Okay, so now we're moving to later. Opening the gate. Well, Schmishmortion not only gives me the decision that if, hey, I picked wrong and opened that gate for a man that will not stay because I don't have a ring, right? Now you fucking, there's no gate, no ring. The gate and the ring equals sex. But now that we have the advent of birth control, we have the advent of birth control, that now allows the gate to be open. Is everybody following like the video for my troubles? Okay. So birth control equals no gate for anybody, baby. There's still things that women do in order to protect themselves, because on a biological level, we are more vulnerable in pregnancy. It just biology, baby. Okay, so that could be anything from like brothers beating the shit out of men. It could be your father. You live with him, and why the fuck are you dating Jeremy from the band? And then some other things you could get are the small proportion I'm saving myself to marriage. I don't fuck men unless I'm dating them, probably a common one you've heard. But there's some form of the gate there. But technically, there isn't. And technically, I'm the only one on this side of the gate. I didn't leave to go find you guys. You came and found me, and I just had to pick, right? Well, guess what? Same scenario, but we're not married. I get pregnant, and he tells me I do not want to have the baby. Well, fuck. You can't make that decision. 70% of Schmishmortians in a self-reported survey of women were asked if they felt coerced, meaning a man, family, or friends changed your opinion and made you go through with the abortion, whatever. 70% of women felt coerced in some regard that they did not report to police. Just want to make that. Okay. So man tells me he is not financially capable. Well, in order for me to say okay to sex, or in order for me to open the gate in the other example, you had to say some shit. You still do that now, except there's no gate. That gate protected women, and that gate is marriage. So now he's like, I don't want to have it. Although they're talking about how it's technically men are not allowed to say it, a lot of men do say it. And so then what happens is, well, do I want to murder a baby? Do I want to kill somebody for someone? Tori, how'd we get here? Probably not the most. What's the word for in order? Whatever, something with a C. I can't think. Malibu's hitting me. Consecutive. It's not as consecutive. Whatever. So, man says he doesn't want to have the baby. I say, either I have one of two options. Either destroy my body, not in a vanity sense, but in a, now I have a thyroid problem. Now I have diabetes. Now I have fat pads on my stomach that I'll never be able to get rid of. Now I have trauma from pushing a human being on my out of my stomach. I also have to hope that you stay with me during the pregnancy and the stress that arises. You think I was jealous before? Oh, put a baby. I mean, I wish I had a knife. I'm sorry, why were you out late? Not only that, what if a complication happens and I'm at risk to die? More common than you think. We have the highest mortality rates here. Maternity, mortality, whatever the fuck. And then if I give birth, my life is forever at their call. You think women have anxiety now? Now I suddenly, where the fuck is my kid? Changing. You just now, your entire life, your entire projection of life is on this kid. And the only person that's in charge on like stuck is mom. It just is. It's always been mom because of that. We grew the child. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, if you've ever looked at videos of what happens when you, a mom had just gotten a C-section, they get the baby and they bring her around, you know, they have the drape and you just see her head and the baby's crying. But as soon as they put the baby on mom, there's a word for it, forgive me, the baby stops crying. The only reason I know that many people probably have seen these videos more recently is because they'll do a side-by video of pretend moms getting the baby put on them for the first time and the baby's absolutely in distress. There's a specific thing that happens because that baby was grown in mom, that when it comes out and it's crying and it has all these different people fucking with it, trying to make sure it breathes and shit, I don't know. As soon as they put it to mom, it calms the nervous system. Dad doesn't get that. Not yet. He gets it later, but not yet. Not until the child meets him. But there's still going to be that internal stress, cortisol, really, whatever it is. Okay. And guess what? People are going to know that's my kid. If I just desert it, somebody's coming. Somebody's coming. And quite honestly, I don't have a position out of these two choices, schmishmortion or carrying the child. Like, we'll get to the guy. There's no option to make this all stop in the moment. I don't want to murder somebody. Why do I have to put a gun to somebody's head now and forever be a murderer for a decision that was an accident? Whatever. I have to either push something out of my vagina, imagine your dick, okay? It's traumatizing. Or murder. Better take accountability. You picked wrong. You should have picked better. Well, when it comes to the gate that's no longer there, whatever, there's still that imaginary gate. In order for you to fuck me, you had to say all the right things. And now when it comes down to this decision, you are absolved of responsibility and it's all on me. So hopefully I can, if I don't want to push something and rip my vagina open, I actually give birth to it or whatever, how can I guarantee that he's going to be there to pay? I can't afford to do it by myself. How the fuck am I supposed to afford that? I didn't even have a job. I'm a loser and I got pregnant. But then the equivalent is, and I'm giving you an analogy in the most, it's equivalent to you and somebody, this is a bad analogy, but forgive me. Because we're men and women are different, it's going to be really hard for me to come up with an analogy that is as similar. It is equivalent to you and your girlfriend going to a dinner. And then you somehow, this tab is outrageous, and you deciding, well, I don't have the money for this. I didn't know that you were going to order all of that shit. Now it's $25,000. And if you say, I'm not paying, owner takes you by the collar, puts you in the fucking back of the kitchen, gives you a gun, actually takes scissors to your dick and a gun to your head. Not to you, actually. He gives you a gun and he gives you scissors and he says, take a scissors to your dick and shoot the dishwasher right now. You have 4 weeks. Are you going to wait while this human being right there knows he's going to die on some level? Are you going to wait? You got to do it within the next 4 weeks, 11 weeks, because after that, we're going to give you another tool and you have to gouge his eyes out. Or pay your tab, split it with the girl. This is a great analogy, actually. I'm killing it. TikTok. This is immoral. You shouldn't have gone out to eat. There is a role that men have in this decision. The issue is that men do not feel it because it's not their body. And the fact that men's response, not all men, but the fact that a large male response says, you picked wrong. You picked wrong. You shouldn't have fucked him. Tells me that men will never understand that connection that women have with a baby, that women cannot leave. Like, how do I word it? It's like when men will say, you picked wrong, all this shit, and they try to like whatever, you should have just did better. It is equivalent, in my opinion, to saying that, I forgot. That was the part that's fucking me up. I was like, don't forget this, bitch. That tells me that men acknowledge that women have a stronger connection to the child, that they can't just leave when they say things like that. And you're like, huh, sit with it. Okay, I know it's kind of hard to follow. Forgive me. So the next time that I hear men say, well, you should have just picked better, ask yourself, how did they get picked to begin with? Because now we don't have the ring in order to make that gate open, but women are still picky. So something had to happen in order for her to say, okay, let's have sex. And a lot of times what they tell them and then the aftermath, they're not congruent. Quite honestly, it involves a lot of lying, not all the time. So how do we fix this problem? We'll talk about that in a second. We now got to go into the video because that took Tori fucking 40 minutes. 40!
Because I would not say that, but I'm sure that there are people who would say that.
Here's the because I mean,
I do believe
maybe
there are people who would say that.
Okay, so then would you be in favor of it's called legal paternal surrender? So that's basically
Like if you say I don't, yeah, I think I actually would be in
so
favor
like
of
let's say
that.
the woman wants to keep it, the man doesn't. Would you be totally fine with the man? He could make some sort of opt-in decision where he's like, okay, I don't want to be financially responsible for the child.
Is it
I don't want
chopping?
custody, and he could opt out.
If it's like legal and informed and like, both sides know what they're agreeing to, yeah, I would
No,
support
the
that.
other side, the woman doesn't have to agree to that.
Would you?
In any here's my position.
No, I mean, like,
hold on, let me explain it. In any state where a woman has a right to get an abortion, I think a man ought to have a corresponding right to.
Okay. Is it choppy, you guys? Because this is where it starts to get good. I had to do that entire thing so that you guys will now see when men say things like, we should be allowed a financial shmishmortion. We should be able to give up our rights. You might have a little bit more. Okay, wait. Although that's fair to say, because men should also be forced with the decision like the woman. The thing about the money is, like, for women, killing baby, it's like you can figure out the money somehow, it's his baby too. He should pay the tab too. Like, it's fucked up. Nah, this is goofy. Is it still choppy?
What I like to call, some people call it a paper abortion. What I prefer to call a legal paternal surrender. So the man could say, well, if you have a right to an abortion, but you're opting to keep the child, I have a corresponding right to say, well, I don't want to be custodially responsible. I don't want to be financially responsible for the child.
I would agree
You'd
with
be
that.
in favor of that.
What I mean is the woman should know if he is doing that. Like,
Right, but what I'm saying-
he shouldn't be able to hide it. Like,
It's so
you know what I mean?
choppy for me.
Okay,
so
so
I
like
can
make a
only
decision.
imagine.
$200.
That's reasonable.
Libs with their backwards / gorilla logic can't agree on when life starts. Heartbeat, cognition, birth, etc. Shouldn't the logical answer be to default back to conception
we'll come to-
to eliminate potential murder?
We'll come back to that in just a second. Actually, I disagree with you because a woman could opt to get an abortion without having to make any disclosures to the man. Ergo, I think a man in a state where this, and frankly, this will never pass any.
I'm going to pause it and see if I can lower, because I know I have it on the highest quality. I don't know, because sometimes it'll be choppy and it's not choppy on my end, and then it looks horrible in the playback. The fact that it's choppy right now, I can only imagine what it looks like. So let me drop it. Move it back a little bit, because I know I went on a tangent. And I'm going to go check the modem, but I'm going to let it play.
UCSB, people hooking up, people aren't always using protection. Let's say a guy knocks up his 20-year-old girlfriend and she wants to keep it. What do you say to the man who says, I'm not financially ready to be a father. I am not prepared to be a parent. What do you say to him?
Me personally,
What
I
would you say to
I
him?
would say I agree with you. You should encourage her to get rid of it.
Oh, see,
Okay, well, hold on. But let's say she's steadfast, good word, steadfast, and she wants to keep. She's not going to get the abortion. She wants to keep it. What do you tell to the man? What do you say to the man?
I
Tough?
mean, I know this is the answer you're looking for. I would say, well, you can't force her.
Well, but
Because I mean, you can't really
would
force.
tell him,
you can't violate
wouldn't
someone
you say
else's bodily
something?
autonomy.
Wouldn't you say something along the lines of,
Step up to the
you shoulda kept your legs closed.
Still looks choppy, but the internet says it's okay. Okay, let me end it just so like it's not going on the whole time. And are we still good on time? Either we'll do the rest of it today and I restart the modem, but probably better if I get my thoughts together. If you're new here, like the video, comment, subscribe. If that even excited you a little bit. I think I'm gonna find a way. Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna go to sleep. I'm gonna let memory form something so that I can really get it across, because what we're talking about is a very emotionally driven thing like schmishmortion, but then we're also talking about should men have to be on the hook. Okay, I don't think I explained the hook part that well. Love you. Subscribe, because I might say I'll be on at 1 in the afternoon, but you better have your bell notifications on because we don't know if that's going to happen. So do it. Okay, bye.